Imagine hot and harsh winds blowing into your face, sand flying around you, getting caught up in gusts and going straight into your face and mouth. Welcome to Western Sahara, Africa. Where is Western Sahara? Is Western Sahara a country? And who owns Western Sahara? In this video, we will take you on a tour of the fascinating and complex history and story of Western Sahara. Where is Western Sahara? Located in North Africa, Western Sahara is a small region, but is Western Sahara a country? No, Western Sahara is not a recognized country. And as for who owns Western Sahara, that's a bit complex. Morocco owns more than 70% of the region, while the Sahrawi Arab Democratic owns Western Sahara's remaining area, with Laayoune as the capital of Western Sahara, and with only a sand wall separating the two regions of Morocco and Western Sahara. The Spanish gave up their control of Western Sahara in 1975. Mauritania and Morocco shared their control on the region. As native Western Sahara people, Sahrawi lacked the manpower to take back their claimed homeland. Over time, Mauritania moved out, and Morocco took control of the entire region. This situation went out of hand, and it had prompted a Western Sahara conflict with native Western Sahara people, Sahrawi living in and out of refugee camps. Let's just say, with the Western Sahara conflict, the history of Morocco and Western Sahara and the current situation is complicated. How to reach Western Sahara? Thankfully, Western Sahara has several airports. Even though they have only one international airport at Laayoune, many other small airports are in Smara and Dakhla. The good news is that flights come from Spain, the Canary Islands, and Morocco to Western Sahara. Do you need a visa to enter Western Sahara? Many people land at Western Sahara from Morocco, Spain, or Mauritania via flight. And since most of the region is controlled by Morocco, their visa requirements are the same as that of Morocco. That means you don't need a visa if you are from the following countries: Australia, New Zealand, Europe, United Kingdom, United States, or Canada. And you can stay in the region visa-free for 90 days. People of other nationalities will need to check up in advance for visa requirements, if any. What's the arrival and departure process in Western Sahara like? No matter which airport you land up in, there will always be an immigration check. Fret not, this is a standard procedure, and it will be quick, and then you can be on your way. As for taxis and drivers, they will be stationed outside the airport. They are an easy find. In short, arrival and departure at the airports will be easy and quick, as there are only a few flights per day. What is Western Sahara's currency? The situation of Western Sahara's currency is a bit complicated. For the most of Western Sahara population, their currency is Sahrawi peseta, even though it's never been minted or adopted. Since Morocco owns Western Sahara, the currency currently in use is the Moroccan dirham, though note that Mauritania ouguiyas and Algerian dinars also circulate alongside the Moroccan dirham. However, most of the Western Sahara population, Sahrawi, that resides in the refugee camps make use of the Sahrawi peseta with the above-mentioned currencies. What is the capital of Western Sahara? So the capital. What is the capital of Western Sahara? Laayoune is the capital of Western Sahara. Roughly translating to water sources, Laayoune is home to a hot desert. But what makes it different and interesting from other deserts is that the desert landscape is used for movie backgrounds such as The Mummy and Prince of Persia. What is the Western Sahara language? Western Sahara language is Hassaniya. It's an Arabic dialect. The Sahrawi also adopts this dialect in the refugee camps. Also, note that a little Spanish, French, and Moroccan Arabic are spoken amongst a few small cities. As for English, very little is spoken, but Western Sahara people are friendly, and they will do their best to communicate with you. All of these must be making you wonder, should you visit Western Sahara? Is it really interesting? Ha! This is where you are wrong. Not only is Western Sahara unique, but it also deserves a place worth adding to your bucket list. Don't get us wrong. Western Sahara may not be officially recognized as a country, but it sure is interesting and has a lot to offer. Sahrawi fashion. One of the most interesting facts about Western Sahara is that the trusty scarf is considered a proper fashion item there. When you pass through Western Sahara, you will see many road stalls selling hundreds and thousands of scarves in a variety of hues. Grab your favorite color and tie it around your head. A native Sahrawi will show you how, and you will look like a real Sahrawi. In some stalls, you will also see a few of the scarves with the whole pattern of the Western Sahara flag itself. It may look a bit weird elsewhere in other countries, but here, in Western Sahara, if you wear the scarf with the pattern of the Western Sahara flag, you will look like a real Sahrawi, border of Spanish Sahara. One of the unknown Western Sahara facts is that Western Sahara was known as Spanish Sahara. This was because the land belonged to the Spaniards, but they soon gave up the land due to colonial pressure. But Morocco, however, claimed the land for themselves. This incident of Morocco claiming the land for themselves is known as Green March, where thousands of Morocco's people walked into this territory of Spanish Sahara to claim the land for themselves. There's a monument, or rather stele, right at the border that marks this historic event. The structure is distinct and epic, and even though the event itself is described on the monument in Arabic, it's still worth a visit. Lanes in Laayoune. Laayoune. Considered to be the most important city in Western Sahara, Laayoune is also the capital of Western Sahara. Looking at Laayoune, one can rightly determine its importance to Western Sahara. Stepping into Laayoune, it feels like one has just stepped back in time. The city itself is full of hundreds of lanes, each one different than the other. Lined with buildings with pastel hues, one can take a stroll through the alleys and be reminded of its history. That's not all. Dunes surround the city, Laayoune itself, so one can drive out the city and head off to the world of dunes. You can start up a tea discussion and chat up with the locals until sunset. Port City, Boujdour. Did you know that there's a renowned city to the south of Western Sahara? That's Boujdour for you. Located to the south of Western Sahara, Boujdour is a port city and is renowned for its vintage lighthouse that dates back to the time of the Portuguese settlers. Though take note that one can't visit the lighthouse as a military base surrounds it, but one can take the majestic view of the lighthouse from a few distances away. Now, let's talk about Boujdour. It being a port city, one can see the native Sahrawi loading and offloading cartons of fish at any time of the day. There are various restaurants and road stalls near the port city that makes use of the fish. With fish as fresh as these and from the sea, there's no stopping you from trying the fish dishes and make your belly full. Dakhla. If Laayoune is the capital and administrative section of Western Sahara, then Dakhla is its fun and party counterpart. Known as the second biggest city in Western Sahara, Dakhla has a life of its own. After all, there are a whole lot of things to do and enjoy at Dakhla. There are many water sports schools. There, one can go and surf to their heart's content. Also, did you know you can play desert golf at Dakhla? Yep, that's right. You can try your hand at desert golfing and unwind from your daily activities at the many bars that are present in Dakhla. What are the White Dunes? One of the interesting Western Sahara facts is that Dakhla is home to the White Dune. It is so called because the desert is surrounded by water, which polished the sand grains. This polishing of the sand grains by water is what created these white dunes, known as White Dunes. One can climb the dunes and view the local flamingos and other such birds. What is Ostrich Farm all about? Did you know that Dakhla is also home to a majestic ostrich farm? Okay, you won't get to ride the ostriches from this farm like in North Korea, but here, you get the chance to play with the ostriches. Just be careful not to provoke them, or they may bite off your finger. This hot spring is different. One of the other interesting facts about Western Sahara is that they have a thermal spring, but how they use it is what makes them different and interesting. The thermal spring you are going to find at Dakhla itself. Here, the hot spring is under the ground and is linked by a massive hose and is brought to the surface. One will need to undress to the undies or change into swimwear. The local will then blast you with a high-pressure jet. Mind you, the pressure is very strong, but it doesn't hurt and will massage both your back and front. A word of warning, if you try to stand up while the treatment is going, you will get punched away by the blast of water. That's strong the pressure is. Heard of clam lunch? It's unique, yes, but it's an interesting Western Sahara's fact. They make some of the best clam dishes around. Travel to Dakhla, and you will get treated to some of the best clam dishes. In the city, the clams are picked right up from the sea, and then, out on your platter, they show up. Complementary dishes include cuisines made from fresh fish, such as fried fish, fish curry, and fish pickles, to name a few. Of more interest to many travelers than the towns of the region is the surrounding landscape, and you are sure spend much of your time here traveling across vast, bleak tracts of Hamada, stony desert. There's certainly no mistaking that you've reached the Sahara proper. Returning, if you don't fancy a repeat of the journey, there are flights from Dakhla and Laayoune to Agadir or the Canary Islands. And once you've reached Dakhla, Dakar and Banjul are actually as close as Marrakesh and Casablanca. Although the area covered by this chapter was all formerly under Spanish rather than French colonial rule, French has now almost entirely replaced Spanish as the dominant second language throughout the region. The region's economic importance was long thought to center on the phosphate mines at Boukra, southeast of Laayoune. However, these have not been very productive in recent years, and the deposits are not especially rich by the standards of the Plateau des Phosphates east of Casablanca. In the long term, the rich deep-water fishing grounds offshore are likely to prove a much better earner. This potential is gradually being realized with the development of fishing ports at Laayoune, Dakhla, and Boujdour, together with industrial plants for fish storage and processing. Smara, S. Samara. Smara, also written as S. Samara, once an important caravan stop, is today a garrison town occupied by the Moroccan army, so be careful where you point your camera. Otherwise, it's a small, sleepy old place with not a lot going on, though there's a souk every Thursday, and a festival every April featuring musical and other entertainments. Because accommodation options are so dire, it's wise to avoid spending the night here by making an early start from Tantan or Laayoune to get here and heading off before transport dries up. Smara's only link with its past is the remains of the palace and great mosque of Ma El Amin, the Blue Sultan, a local ruler who tried to oust the French colonialists at the beginning of the 20th century, see the Blue Sultan. The palace, near the Oued, contains the residences of Ma El Amin's 4 main wives, one of them now occupied by the Gardien and his family. The attached zawiya is well maintained but usually closed except on Fridays. If you knock on the door, however, someone should open up and show you around, usually for a fee. Though plastered over, the zawiya is, like the rest of the palace, built of black basalt from the local hills. What's left of the Great Mosque, a separate building further away from the river, is less well preserved, but you can still see the mihrab and rows of basalt arches. Tantan. The approach from Guillemine to Tantan runs along 125 kilometers of straight desert road, across a bleak area of scrub and hamada. There are few features to speak of en route. A cafe and petrol station, 55 km from Guillemine, a small pass, 85 km, and finally a crossing of the Oued Dra, 109 km, invariably dry at this point, where you may be asked to show your passport, as you also may coming into Tantan. A piste from here heads west to a last French fort at the mouth of the Oued. Tantan is a drab administrative center of around 70,000 inhabitants. Because it's part of a duty-free zone, along with the rest of the Tarfaya Strip and Western Sahara, a lot of shops sell goods such as radios, computers, and electric razors. Aside from its Musum, see Tantan Plage, Tantan's one claim to fame is that it was a departure point for Hassan II's famous Green March to occupy the Western Sahara, La Marche Verte, or El Masira El Khadra. Parallels and demarcation lines. In colonial times, the Oued Dra was the border between the French and Spanish protectorates. The land to the south, the Tarfaya Strip, was part of the Spanish protectorate in Morocco, along with the area around Tetouan and Al Hoceima in the north. It was not considered part of Spain's 2 Saharan colonies, together known as the Spanish Sahara, of which the northernmost, Seguiat el Hamra, began at the 27°40 N line just south of Tarfaya, while the southern one, Rio de Oro, began at the 26th parallel, just south of Boujdour. In 1958, 2 years after the rest of Morocco gained independence, the Spanish gave back the Tarfaya Strip, but they kept the Spanish Sahara until November 1975. Tantan Plage, El Ouatia. Tantan Plage, also called El Ouatia, 26 km from town and just off the coastal route to Laayoune, is a fishing port, responsible for a large percentage of Morocco's sardine exports. It has a shadeless and often wind-swept beach that gets quite crowded in summer and is increasingly popular with surfers, though not very good for casual bathing due to its large breakers and strong currents. With a large number of small hotels and restaurants, however, it's a lot more attractive as a place to stay than Tantan itself. Tarfaya is a quiet little fishing town, population 6,000, that's probably not far different from its years as a staging post for the Aéropostale service, when aviators such as Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, author of Night Flight and The Little Prince, used to rest up here on their way down to West Africa. Oddly enough, Tarfaya was actually founded at the end of the 19th century by a Scottish trader named Donald Mackenzie, and was originally called Port Victoria after Britain's queen. Mackenzie had a fort built, now known as Casa Mar, which is just offshore, a few meters swim at low tide. The Spanish called the town Villa Benz. These days, Tarfaya is a lazy, do-nothing place. The main street, Boulevard Ahmed El Hayar, running roughly east-west through the town center, has 2 banks with ATMs, a handful of cafes, and a couple of internet offices, one next to Attijariya Wafa Bank. The Aéropostale air service is commemorated annually in October by a rallye aérienne, with small planes stopping here on their way south from Toulouse to Dakar. A monument to Saint-Exupéry in the form of a plane stands at the northern end of the beach. Nearby, a Musée Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, Montfrey 8:30 a.m. 12:30 p.m. and 2.305 p.m. 10 DH, has exhibits on the airmail service that Saint-Exupéry pioneered. But, despite being in the formerly Spanish zone of an Arabic-speaking country, with explanations in French only. Accommodation and eating in Tarfaya. The hotels all serve meals, and the cafes along the north side of Av Ahmed El Hayar have excellent and very cheap fresh-fried fish or fish tagines. Getting to Tarfaya transport can be tricky getting to and from Tarfaya. You may have to wait a few hours before anything turns up, or you may even have to resort to walking to the junction on the N1, 3 km out of town, and hitchhiking, or at least trying to flag down passing buses and shared taxis. As we come to the end of this video, we hope you've enjoyed this captivating journey to the Western Sahara and the enchanting city of Tantan. From the endless dunes to the rich cultural heritage, this place truly holds an irresistible allure. But our exploration doesn't end here. There is so much more to discover, so many hidden treasures to unveil. By subscribing to our channel, you'll gain access to even more incredible travel adventures and insightful content. Join our community of wanderers, where every video promises to transport you to fascinating destinations around the world. Remember, the world is vast, and the possibilities are endless. Let's continue exploring together. Hit that like button, subscribe, and embark on this extraordinary journey with us. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy travels.